Okay, so our recipe for today is pandesal. So pandesal is an example of a rich dough based on the ingredients that we will be using today. So first we have your bread flour. So for the bread flour, you'll be needing 500 grams. So in wet markets or in public markets, they call this as your first class flour. So again, it's 500 grams. Then next, you need to have your yeast. So our yeast is 5 grams. So I have here 5 grams of yeast. You may want to use 1 teaspoon to measure your yeast. 5 grams. Then next, we have our sugar, which is 113 grams of granulated sugar. If you feel like you want to use wash sugar, feel free to do so. But for today, I'll be using white sugar. Then next, you need to have 7 grams of salt. So this is your 7 grams of salt. Okay. Next, you'll be needing a gram of bread improver. So this is an optional ingredient. It's a dough conditioner and at the same time a preservative in bread making. So this is an optional ingredient. Then next, you need to have 274 grams or ml of water. So your option is you may want to add the egg or you may want to add the milk, but for that you need to have at least a total or the sum of 274 grams. So if you're going to add 74 grams of milk, so you just need 200 grams more of water. So just subtract the amount of ingredient that you'll be adding. So if your egg is 50 grams, so 274 less 50 grams, that will be the amount of water that you need. And last, I have here a fat. So the fat that I'll be using is a premium margarine. So your option is if you feel like you want to use your butter, feel free to do so. If you have shortening or lard, feel free to do so. Liquid vegetable fat can be used as well. Okay? So those are your ingredients for this recipe. So here's the procedure for our pandesal. So we will be using a straight dough method here. So I have the flour. Okay, I'll place it in a bigger bowl. So I'm leaving just a little flour there, okay, for this recipe. Then try to make a well. Okay. You may add the other dry ingredients. I'm using an instant active yeast here, so you don't need to dissolve the yeast anymore with water, just like what they used to do. And then I have here my salt as well. Okay, so this is straight dough method. Then I have my bread improver. So make sure you wash already your hands as you'll be kneading the bread dough using your hands. Okay, then I have my yeast, so try to sprinkle the yeast. And then I want you to stir the dry ingredients first. Okay, so after stirring, make a well. Okay, and then add your water. So in some recipes, they normally call for warm water, but just a little warning. Most of those recipes come from the United States or in countries that are colder. So you don't want to have a very warm water or you're going to heat it up. Yeah, so it may actually kill your yeast. So you don't want to do that. For hot countries like the Philippines, we sometimes even use ice. Okay, just as when we mix our dough, it will retain at least at 28 degrees Celsius. So you don't want your dough to be very warm or more than 28 degrees, or else it will have a different texture. Okay. So we are trying to hydrate now the flour mixture. Okay, so I'm going to use my hands. Okay, try to absorb all the flour. Okay, before we're going to put it on a clean table. Okay, so you're starting to absorb, or the flour rather is absorbing all the liquid now. Okay. Okay, when it's already a dough, just like this, you can get your fat. So this is our premium margarine. So I'm going to mix it with our dough. Okay, so we can place it on top of the table already. Okay. And then slowly we're going to incorporate the fat with the dough. Okay, if the dough gets too sticky, since we measured already all the ingredients, we're going to add a little of the flour that we left behind there. Okay, so notice the way I knead the dough. So you need to push it. You'll be needing a dough scraper, or if you have your, just make use of your rubber scraper or rubber spatula. Okay, then continue kneading. Okay, the first thing that we want to do here is to improve, okay, the texture. So somehow the dough will be smoother. So that's our goal here. Okay, I'm going to sprinkle a little flour so that it will not stick too much with my hands. Okay, just keep on kneading. So take notice of the texture of the dough. It's a bit rough at the moment, so we want to make it smoother. Okay, so after kneading it for a few minutes, so notice that there is a change already with the texture. So I need to knead it more. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, we want to test the dough if it's ready. Okay, so we have the window pane test. So get the dough and then try to stretch it. Okay, then make sure it's somehow very thin already when it's ready. This one, it's breaking apart, so you need to knead it more. Okay, so after kneading it for a few minutes again, so the dough is now smoother. Okay, so let's check again the quality of the dough. Okay, so when you press it, okay, it springs back. Then we'll check, we'll test it. Okay, so you get just a little amount and then you carefully stretch it. Then take notice as I handle the dough. I keep on rotating it and slowly I stretch the dough. So you want it to be elastic. So somehow it resembles the balloon. So it's thin already, and then when you press at the middle, touch it, it's strong enough. So it can hold the carbon dioxide, which will make our bread somehow, it will trap the carbon dioxide and it will make it softer. Okay, So I think this is ready. So we're going to rest the dough for approximately around 30 minutes, and let's just wait. Uh, check if the mass will actually double up. Okay. Okay, when the dough is ready, try to prepare your bowl. So I have here a bowl. Then I'm just greasing it thinly, okay, with a pastry brush. Okay, remove the excess grease if it's too much. Okay, then you're going to place your dough. Okay, okay, check. Okay, I'm placing it downwards so that it will round up a bit. Okay, just like this. And then on top of your bowl, inside your bowl, I mean, and then just a thin layer of fat so that it will not dry up. Then your option, you may want to put it inside an oven that is not yet on or there's no heat, or you may want to cover with a damp cloth. Okay, so here's our rich dough. So it's ready. It doubled, the size doubled already. Then you can see it's very smooth and it's airy inside. So later we're going to knock the air inside. We're going to release the carbon dioxide, and then we're going to divide and form this dough. So this is the procedure for our pandesal. So this is our dough. It's ready. So we just need to knock the air away first. Okay. So knock the air, okay, so as to remove the initial carbon dioxide. Okay, and I want to cut, okay, 35 grams of dough, because I'm going to make, okay, we're going to cook this or bake rather this pandesal in two ways. So one using the air fryer and the other one is using your oven. So I will just make around the around the 4 perhaps, okay, just to show you on how to do this. Okay, just one more. Okay, so that is a 35-gram dough. So let me just show you this. Okay, so this is your dough. So okay, place your hand like this. Okay, and then we're going to roll it. Okay, rubbing the table, and then make the dough smooth. So we want to close, okay, and make it smooth this way, and the hole is at the bottom. Okay, what others do, they form it first with their hands, okay, and then they roll it. Okay, so it takes a while to practice, okay, doing this rolling. Okay. And then there's another method in making pandesal, which is the baston method. So they cut the bread dough and roll into logs, and then they cut it just the way they do it in old-fashioned bakeries. Okay, but in some hotels they are already doing it rolled this way. Then it's a bit sticky, so what you want to do is roll it with your breadcrumbs. So this is the brown breadcrumbs. Okay, so it's toasted. Compared with the panko, it's white. This one is light brown. Okay, make sure to remember where the seam is, and then we are going to place it at the bottom of the of the dough. So I have here This is our pandesal dough. So notice that the size doubled already. So this is ready to go inside the oven. Temperature is 350. Others, they prefer 375 degrees to make the outside brown and crisp. So here's our baked pandesal. So I bake it for 10 minutes, 375 degrees Fahrenheit. So others, they want their pandesal to be light, so they use 350 degrees Fahrenheit. But for this one, I use a hotter temperature. So basically, it's browner, and at the bottom, it's somehow toasted as well. Okay, so check it. It's somehow airy as well, a bit crisp on the outside. Okay, so this is your pandesal baked in the oven. So if you're going to make use of your air fryer, so most likely it will be around 8 minutes only. But for oven toaster, I think this will not work, and don't even try with your by frying it or grilling it, so it will not actually work. Okay, so let's check on the air cell of our pandesal. So it's still quite hot, but as you can see, there are air cells, so it's not dense. The air cells are not that big because this is just an straight dough method. So in your output, when you show us your product, you need to cut your bread like this so that we can see it. Okay, same thing with the donut. We want also to see the inside. Okay, just make sure when you cut the bread, make sure it's cold enough so that we can see the accuracy of the air cells. So check this. So I'm using a serrated knife. Okay, we want to see the air cell, so just like this. Okay, so this is the air cell of our donut. Okay, same thing with the other products, like for example for the focaccia, we want to see the air cell because so that we can evaluate it. And then please try to turn it so that we can see. So the proper color of the focaccia should be a little browner at the back. Same thing, because this is cooked in a air fryer, so only the top part browned actually.